trail the Reds 5-3, end of 8 in Seattle. Checking the Major League scoreboard for you right now. Middle of the ninth in Colorado, the Nationals on top of the Rockies, 8-zip. Diamondbacks throttling the Athletics in Arizona, 14-2, top of 7. Bottom of the 7th in Los Angeles, the Cardinals on top of the Angels, 1-zip. Dodgers and Phillies will kick off from Philadelphia, coming up at 3:40 on MLB TV. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing is coming at you right now.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. Coors Light, cold as the Rockies. Please drink responsibly.
What's up with the backflip and Scatterbo? What was your reaction when you saw that on your timeline?
Oh, my reaction when I saw it on my phone?
Yeah.
My reaction was I haven't talked to him yet. I'm going to talk to him, I'm sure. But my reaction was this: dude, at least stick it. You know what I mean? Land the thing if you're going to do it. You know, that was my first reaction. But, Scat's going to be ready to go.
The commissioner of the league is saying, hey, you do have, just as you've mentioned, Rich, this enormous influence on our TV schedule. There are people waiting on you. There is a case there that he does need to.
I saw Adam in New York, and we discussed it. And like I said, it's still his choice. So if he doesn't really know, you can't rush it.
So right now the league is aware of this, that he's not there yet.
And we're not going to be rushed. It doesn't matter. I don't want to sit here and sound. I'll just say we're not going to be rushed.
Mm-hmm. That's totally fair for you to say.
It is his choice to make. And when he makes the choice, he's making it.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
All right, what's going on, my friends? As the world turns in Rip City, it feels very much like a soap opera right now. And as we talked about yesterday, or actually over the last week, I expect the conversation, the tone, the rhetoric to continue to rise as we near the vote by the city council, as the Trailblazers and the city continue their negotiations. But we continue to get more and more information that is being leaked out by different members of the press, and it's causing more angst within Trailblazer fans. And that's what happened last night. Now, the majority of these cuts were ones that took place a few weeks ago when the Blazers went through that massive wave of cuts after Tom Dunn had taken over the team. And we've talked about it on the show, how we knew there would be some changes to broadcasting, both television and with the radio, but we didn't really have those details as negotiations have been ongoing. But it was Maury Brown from Forbes who put out a report last night, and this is what people have been talking about. My phone's been nuclear over the last 12 to 14 hours, people hitting me up wanting details, wanting to know what's going on. And Maury wrote, under new owner Tom Dunn, the Trailblazers have been under a microscope on several fronts. Beyond the contentious battle for public funding to upgrade the Motor Center, he's taken a chainsaw to the club staff. Earlier this year, the Trailblazers made significant cuts to the front office, laying off 70 employees to cut expenses. Now, Blazers Broadcasting is getting the axe, either through layoffs or contracts not being renewed. After 19 seasons with the Blazers broadcast team, TV analyst Michael Holton has been let go, as well as statistician Tom Havastro, former ESPN legend and Blazers TV host Neil Everett, and Jamie Hudson. Several other broadcasters' contracts have lapsed, with deep pay cuts being expected in some places. On Wednesday, television play-by-play man Kevin Calabro announced he would not accept a pay cut to return to the Trailblazers. And Joe Freeman added on in a report saying, Kevin Calabro tells me he has decided to step away from Blazers broadcasting and will no longer call games for Portland. The team and its veteran play-by-play man had been in discussions on a new contract, but he called the offers, quote, subprime. Interesting. And he has decided to move on. In addition to that, Maury Brown writes the cuts move beyond on-air talent. The TV production crew has also been reduced. As of now, the Blazers are without a producer after Greg Fonseca left the Blazers to take a job with NBA Broadcasting. What's up, Greg? Congratulations on your new gig. Greg's good people. Graphics will reportedly be reduced, all of which could affect the quality of the broadcast. And while the status of Travis Demers remains unclear on the radio side, it's possible the radio call road games could be remote. TV talent is retired to travel to the sites, according to the NBA. So there you go. On Wednesday, the Blazers released a statement on the cuts. Quote, "We are deeply grateful to all the hardworking individuals who have contributed to our award-winning broadcasts over the years. I can't comment on individual personnel decisions, but I can confirm that we are making changes for the upcoming season as we continue to evolve with changes in the broadcast industry and look to become more efficient in our business operations. While plans are still being finalized, play-by-play radio broadcasts will continue in the 26-27 season and will not be television simulcasts." Request for comment by the NBA has been made and not yet returned. When Dundon purchased the Hurricanes in 2018, he notably let the radio broadcast team go, which featured Hall of Fame and longtime radio announcer Chuck Keighton, in favor of airing a simulcast of television broadcast audio when Keighton wouldn't take an 80% pay cut to stay with the team. Only the Toronto Raptors radio team doesn't travel with the team for road games. So I can confirm the report from Maury Brown that the radio broadcast will continue in the upcoming season. Now, I can't speak to specific details yet because things are still being finalized, but the radio broadcast will continue. So I would expect Travis Demers to be around, which is a very good thing. Now, Jason Quick also put out a report. He's been talking to people. He says, confirming Joe Freeman's report that Kevin Calabro is stepping away from Blazers television play-by-play. Calabro said he received low contract offer on Monday. Quote, "Easy decision, not worth my time," Calabro said, which is sad because it's a great roster and the people there are great. Now, one thing I know after talking to Calabro is, I think it was Los Angeles. Was it the Clippers? It was some job in LA a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that was open. And of course, Calabro, I am one of the few who loved Calabro when they brought him on initially. A lot of people were upset about Mike and Mike being let go. And I'm friends with both of them as well. So I love Mike Barrett and I love Mike Rice. But I'm also friends and love Kevin Calabro. Calabro's always been one of my favorite play-by-play voices. I used to love him on the radio call on ESPN National Games with Dr. Jack Ramsey. That's about as good as it gets for me when it comes to a radio crew. So I'm a big believer in Kevin Calabro and the job that he can do. Love him. And he's going to be fine. He'll be able to get a job elsewhere with any of the major networks. And, of course, with the Sonics coming back, he would probably have a ready-made home with the Sonics if he chooses to continue to work. So I kind of got the writing on the wall. I think it was the last home game of the year. I think it was. I was at Motor Center. I was down in Blazer Broadcasting. And Calabro walked by, and he handed me some Blazer gear. And he goes, "End of the year, here's some Blazer gear for you." And I thought that was a symbolic moment where I think he knew at the time he was not going to return. And so there you have it. But Kevin Calabro is a great man. I can call him up at any time. He'll answer questions. He's a big believer in radio and will give feedback, input. He's a caring individual, loves his family. And obviously he's a phenomenal, talent both on radio and television. So I love that. But also very happy that the radio broadcast will continue as we move into the new season. Quick also tweeted out, Trailblazers radio play-by-play announcer Travis Demers is no longer a team employee after his contract expired June 30th. The source says a return in a lesser role that has not been ruled out. Travis Demers has been the play-by-play voice for the last 7 seasons. So there you have it. That's the latest. That's what people are talking about today. That's what I've been getting blown up over. And there you have it. So it's crazy. Every day it's something new, either in regards to Tom Dundon or the negotiations from the Blazers side or the city side. Now, again, I have people who are getting mad at me right now because they think I'm crazy. I just am telling you exactly what I believe. No one's telling me what to say. No one's telling me what I can't say. I'm just telling you what I believe. I do not believe that the Trailblazers are going to leave town. I don't believe Dundon is trying to leave town. I don't think he's got his eyes set on leaving Portland. I think the guy's trying to negotiate a deal with the city, and he's trying to get the best deal possible. Now, there are people who disagree with me. Brian Berger would be one from Sports Business Radio. John Canzano has a little bit less faith in the process. And then there are people who are in the middle where they're not really sure because they're still trying to get a feel for Tom Dundon. But I remain in the same spot, that the Blazers are going to remain. They're going to get a deal done. And regardless of the rhetoric right now, it's going to push them to the bargaining table and they'll sign. I don't think the NBA wants the Blazers to leave either. So I just think a deal is going to get done. But as I've mentioned before, strap in. You got to buckle up because things are going to get a little bit wild in terms of finger pointing and rhetoric until we get that deal signed. And that's really what it's all about. And you just have to understand that. You've got to embrace that. It's going to get wild. There's going to be things said that might hurt feelings, finger pointing, a lot of nonsense going on. But I think in the end, they'll get the deal done. So I've not wavered from that, and I've seen nothing and heard nothing that would cause me to change that. And these negotiations, they get nasty. They got nasty in Raleigh when Dundon was negotiating with the city after he purchased the Hurricanes. And I think part of it, too, could be, cultural differences. Dundon lives in Texas. He's a billionaire. He's coming to a new town that's different in terms of life approach, in politics, everything. People out here are different. Anyone that comes to Portland and lives here for a period of time will tell you that the people, the setup, the surroundings, the environment, it's just different. Not in a bad way, it's just different. And so you get someone coming in guns a-blazing from Texas, there's going to be a bit of a clash there, and that's okay. It's all right. In the end, if the Blazers remain and Tom Dundon is satisfied with the deal and the city is satisfied with the deal and we're able to settle in and focus on basketball, that's really what matters the most here to me. And, Tom Dundon is not in a position to where he's going to show his hand. He doesn't have to. He's not going to try and make any of us feel good about the process. He's got a job to get done, and that's part of the negotiation. So just remember that as you hear some of the rhetoric coming out, that the city is fighting for what they believe in. Tom Dundon is fighting for what he wants, and it's going to get nasty at times, but that's okay. That's part of the process. No one is going to come out and say, you know what, the city's not going to do it either. The counselors are not going to come out and say, you know what, we want the Blazers here. They can have whatever they want. And we'll make sure that we massage Tom Dundon along the way because we care about him. They're not going to say that. And Tom Dundon's not going to be like, you know what, Blazer fans, I just want to apologize for being a little bit brash, being an out-of-towner when I took over the team. I love basketball, I love sports, and I care about you. And I love the Northwest, and I think Mount Hood is beautiful. And I went to the Oregon coast the other day, and I've never seen anything like it. And I've got to be honest with you, traveling around the country as I have, there's no fan base that truly matches the desire, the passion, and the connection between team and community like Rip City. You guys are the best basketball fans in the country, and therefore, I would never move the team out of town. And I just wanted you to know that because I care about you. And I care about people. Like, he's not going to say that. As much as we might want him to, that's not going to happen. And that's okay, too. So I am in the same spot. I think the team will remain. I think they'll get a deal done. And with the changes to the broadcast side, like I've told you from the very get-go, I am in broadcasting. I love radio. Like, I love radio to the core. Like, I love the ability to communicate verbally. I love theater of the mind. I love sports on the radio. I love everything about radio. It's my thing. So anytime someone wants to adjust or reduce the role of radio, no, I don't care who you are. I'm not going to be okay with that because I love radio passionately. But when you pay $4.25 billion to own a team, you have the ability to come in and make the changes that you believe are necessary to run an effective business. So I'm no different than anyone else. I probably won't agree with every decision that Tom Dundon makes. But right now, what I care most about is getting a deal done with the city so that lease can be signed and the Blazers are going to be here for the extended period of time. That's what matters most. Kevin Calabro is a great human being and a great broadcaster. I love him to death. But changes do happen. We survived the change with Mike Rice and Mike Barrett. And we're going to be able to survive this change to whoever the next TV voice is going to be. Now, I could tell you who I would hire for that spot, but it's not my decision. All right, 503-248-0620. I'm really excited about the show. In fact, when we come back, Dave Deckard from BlazersEdge.com will join me at 4:20. But I've got something really special. I'm so tired of the negative right now surrounding the negotiations with the city and the team that I'm going to do something special at 5:20 that I think you will enjoy. And I'll tell you what that's going to be coming up next here on the Rip City Drive. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday afternoon. This steamy, I know that it's steamy because it's a little bit moist. I feel moist. My drawers are a little bit moist. It's just warmer outside. And my body temperature after a workout always rises a bit, so I'm moist today. I just wanted to let you know that. And I'm sure that's going to make you really comfortable to know that I'm moist sitting in the studio. All right, great story about what's coming up at 5:20. We'll do it next on the Rip City Drive. What can I say? All right, what's up? Rip City Drive Chad doing here. I'm going to go to the phones in just a moment. My man Kenny in Vancouver reached out and said it's called Swamp Butt. Not a fan. Nothing great about having to unwedgie yourself and your drawers all day long. Thanks for all the stuff you've had on this. My anxiety meds are big time necessary right now. I'd also like to hear how important this is for the Albina development to meet its full potential. To me, it's vital. It is vital for the Albina district. There's no question about it. Now, I have said, here's another reason that gives me confidence that the Blazers are going to remain. And again, I can't give up the specifics of the name because I was sworn. This guy told me, he goes, if you ever say this publicly before I tell you it's okay to talk about it publicly, he goes, I'll never talk to you again. And this guy is very, shall we say, influential. So anyways, I do know from the people I've spoken with that Tom Dundon has been in contact with several high-powered individuals from the private sector with very good plans for how to develop the area around the Moda Center, Rose Quarter, and the surrounding area. And there's some great ideas that would be, I think, a big-time boost to the local economy and good for the city. So that's one thing that I'm excited about is that Dundon is really good at forming these partnerships to be able to develop. And they've got some great plans. And the one plan, it would be awesome if they get this done. So I'm very excited. So I do think that they have ideas on how to develop the area. It would be great for the Albina district. So it's just a matter of getting this deal done. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Now, coming up at 5:20, I'm really excited about this. My buddy, and he's a really good friend. He's kind of like a younger brother, Daniel from Gresham, who also spent a couple of years living down in the Phoenix area, but he's back here in the Northwest. So his best friend, Johhny, lives down in Phoenix. And Johhny is in need of a kidney or he's going to die. And Johhny has a wife and a big family, and he's vital to their health, their happiness, everything. And Daniel really cares about Johhny a lot, so he thought, you know what, I'll get tested to see if I could be a match. So he went down, got tested, and believe it or not, he's a match. So 2 weeks from today, Daniel is going to be down in the Phoenix area and is going to donate a kidney to his best friend. And so at 5:20 today, I'll have Johhny and Daniel on the phone to talk about this. And I was talking to him on the phone the other day. I'm like, dude, what's it like knowing that like a part of you is going to be inside of your best friend's body forever and you're giving him a second lease on life? Like, it's hard to wrap your mind around that. And it's pretty amazing to me that the good Lord above gave us the ability, the smarts, the intelligence, and the body parts that we can like give body parts to other people to help them in a time of need. It's pretty awesome. So we'll talk to both those guys. I want to get the reaction of Daniel. I want to know if he's nervous. Are you scared? Like, what's going through his mind? And for Johhny, what it's like to have this opportunity to get a second lease on life. It's pretty special. So we'll do that at 5:20. Let's go out to the phones. Anything you want to talk about is fine by me. If you have any questions or concerns about any of the reporting, I will answer questions for you, and we'll continue to navigate the madness which is out there right now in Rip City. 503-248-0620. Sean, my man, and Shane, feel free to call back in, buddy. I want to hear your voice. All right, let's go out to Cece in Portland. Cece, appreciate the phone call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. Fire away.
Yes, Dad, and congratulations to Johhny and your friend. I have friends and family of mine that are on dialysis, so I really respect that and appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm excited for them, and I just think it's amazing that he turned out to be a match. A lot of times you get tested, you don't match.
You don't, and I've had family members to have that, and it hasn't worked. So, but the reason why I called, and again, I'm heartwarming. I heard the first conversation you had with Johhny, I believe. But this Tom Dundon thing, I think people that I talk to around Portland, it isn't so much about leaving him moving the team, and out in the country, really, my relatives, everybody think the guy is cheap. I'm sorry. There's nothing worse than a cheap billionaire and rich person. And I know he has to do what he has to do, but it just comes off wrong. I mean, not wanting to travel the two-way players, not wanting to pay for this, offering the one-year contract. It's just the way and the attitude that he carries himself with. And maybe that has gotten him somewhere, but I'm just talking about how it is that he's received. When people come at you like that, even if it is a boss or whoever it is, people are not going to like you. The guy is cheap, and he got away with it. And yes, that's got him championships. That's fine. I'm just talking about on a pure relationship basis. When you're trying to start off a relationship with somebody, even though he has the right to do everything that he's doing, but when you're trying to start a relationship with somebody and you come across like some arrogant tech bro, entitled kind of guy, sign his name on the Stanley Cup and all that, that just comes off wrong. So when I talk to my family and friends and I travel around the country, when I mention it, because the guy is cheap and it's nasty and people don't like it. And that's really the problem. Even though, you may like him, he has to do what he has to do. Everybody understands all that. There's a way to do anything.
All right, Cece, don't go anywhere. I want to ask you a question. Don't go anywhere. I want to ask you a question because let's talk about this. So I know that I was told that he doesn't have like a PR team. Like I think he just operates on his own and communicates his own thoughts, which is interesting to me. So do you think this is a case where he's just not worried about what people think about him and the public reaction that he gets when he makes decisions? And then when it comes to the perception of being cheap, like we all have cheap friends or family members. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, like, I wonder if his desire to negotiate deals, like I wonder if he really enjoys the process of trying to negotiate the best possible deal for himself. Like, some guys just get off on the process. Like I'm trying to understand the psychology on that because I know, like, for instance, I hate to throw my dad under the bus. My dad is not a poor man, but he loves the art of finding the best possible deal on anything that he's purchasing. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, just pay the extra money and get it there to make it easier in your life. But he doesn't want to do it because he'd rather drive around town and save $2 on an item because he enjoys that process.
I agree. And that may be the case. The problem here, though, is that this is about relationships and ingratiating yourself to someone new. Now, again, not to throw your dad under the bus. If he was doing that and he was getting with a lady he's trying to impress, guess what would happen?
It's not going to impress.
Kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
So it's fine if it's just you and your everyday life. But when you involve people that are wanting to spend money with you, wanting to support you, we know that he has the power. He knows he has the power. You don't need to flex. Have respect for people. That poor coach in Ngori, hey, many people would do what he had to do just because he wanted the position, but that still doesn't make it right. Just because I'm in a position where I can't negotiate my salary, that this is the only chance I'm going to ever have in my life, and I take it anyway, that makes me the victim in some ways. And so, yes, who wouldn't take that job? But does it make it right that you just offer somebody a one-year deal? That's disrespectful. And people do take disrespectful jobs. People have done it all the time. But what does that say about your character as an organization? To me, that's what I look at. My character is I'm going to disrespect you and try to get the way as cheap as I can. And I know that you're trying to do that, right? But when you insult me, right, when you nickel and dime me and you're a billionaire, that's when I have a problem. I don't mind paying for something. Don't nickel and dime me. Don't go cheap on me when I'm already paying, and then you want to charge me X, Y, and Z for whatever. When you're just being cheap just because you can, get the money just because you can, you don't do that to people. That's just not right. And that's what is rubbing people the wrong way. The move thing, the motor center, we'll deal with that. But the guy just comes off as a first-class jerk, and that's just how it is. And maybe he doesn't care. So, here we are. He may not. And you have that much money and you come off as a jerk, that looks extra bad.
Huh. Hey, Cece,
I mean, that's just how it is. I tried it. I first was like, I just kind of didn't like the guy at first. But I'm like, let me give him a chance. Every time I turn around, he's like doing something. The guy is cheap. People don't like that. No one likes a cheap billionaire.
Hey, Cece, I got a couple more questions for you. Where are you from originally?
Portland.
Oh, you're from Portland, in the area. Which part of town do you live in?
Northeast.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Well, what's your background? What do you do for work? I'm just curious.
I'm a retired university professor.
Okay, good. So I was curious if you're in education because you're a sharp one. So what's your feel on the negotiation with the team in the city? Do you think they'll get a deal done? What's your feel for that?
I think they will at some point, and I do agree in the sense that the Blazers are going to have to do something with that arena at some point, right?
Yes.
So you know that, and we know that. But again, I think what the public again is mad about is the attitude of Dundon and his cheapness. Had he not maybe come across like that, that's really what the underlying issue is, the backlash, you know. And I'm one of those people that, like how they did, you know, Oakland or some other places.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for a stadium for an owner. I don't care if a team had to leave, even as much a Blazer fan as I am. This is not necessarily the case as far as pay for this stadium or I'm moving. So that's just me personally. But I really think that the backlash that the constituents are presenting to the counselors is as a result of this guy being so cheap and how he's coming across. You don't show up at the the Chamber of Commerce or just saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do and I don't care what, you know. You just don't start off a relationship that way. You know, even if we all know you have the power. We all know you can do what you want to do. And the fact that you still come at me like you don't care anyway, that's disrespectful. I'm sorry, it just is.
No,
and he's done nothing to alleviate that, and he doesn't seem to care. And because he doesn't care, people are going to fight him tooth and nail to the degree of whatever leverage we have.
All right, Cece, I appreciate the call. Now, the cheapness, and you're right. Like, no one wants to be known as cheap. Like I have a buddy that when he's having dinner, like he gets the penguin arms when it comes to dinner time when the check comes. No one wants to be known as a cheap person, man. It's like, what's going on here? Ugh. Well,
yeah, no, I agree. And so it's like, hey, you know, everybody should pay and contribute. But, you know, the fact that if he continues to do that to you, your buddy, right, that's disrespectful. Even if you guys are friends and you like him and you know he doesn't have to do it. It's just the principle.
Yeah. Hey, Cece, you got to make sure you call again. I love it when you call in.
Thank you.
She's awesome. Cece is super sharp. Gee, she's good. Let's go out to Clackamas. Let's talk to Lynn. Hey, Lynn, appreciate the phone call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chad, a couple things. That was great, CC, talking about the cheap attitude. You know, with the coach, my concern, so they're giving this guy a shot, and this guy's taking a low pay because he hasn't proven himself. But what happens when he does and he's got no loyalty to them because they didn't show any loyalty up front to him? We just get another revolving door for somebody that's really good. I mean, you think about how the Ducks have treated Lanning, and he's like all in on the Ducks. Doesn't matter who's coming after him because he's totally bought in. So I worry about this coach. If he is good, they've proven to him that, you know, it's all about what can you do for me right now, that he might leave. The other question I have is, and I have to apologize to all the other listeners who may have been keeping up on it, but I was traveling a little bit, couldn't keep the radio on this channel real easy. So the last thing I heard, we had brought in the guy that would have fit real well with Jailblazers in his younger years. What have they done in free agency? Because I know when they brought him in, everything was out of balance. Everybody was saying, hey, we're going to be, you know, there's got to be another move. And I just tuned back in, and I don't know what those other moves have been for the last couple of weeks. So would you mind doing a recap on what they've done with the team to kind of balance things out, or are we all still in a holding pattern?
Yeah, no problem. I'll answer those questions for you, and I do appreciate the phone call, Lynn. First, I want to deal with your first question about the Micah contract. I know it's a year-by-year basis, but basically how it's going to work with Micah, if Coach Norrie performs, they're not going to let him get to the end of that contract before they renegotiate. So if he performs and proves that he can be a head guy as a longtime assistant, and he turns out to be terrific, they'll rip up the original deal and get him a new one before he's able to walk. That's how that's going to work out. Now with Ja Morant, they bring in Ja Morant. I think, and again, I reached out to people, Lynn, in Memphis who work for the Grizz, and my main concern was just trying to find out what his path has been over the last couple of years off the court. And from what I've been told by people I trust, is that he's making good decisions in terms of who he's surrounding himself with, the crew that he rolls with. You know, like my dad used to tell me, you are who you roll with. So I think he's making better decisions there. He's only 26 years of age, and he's been able to mature. And now I think the Blazers are getting whatever Jaw's got, they're going to get the best version of that because he's got a lot to prove. That one, he can be a better individual off the court, that he's matured, but more importantly, that he's still got a lot of game with his explosiveness and the way he can electrify a crowd with the way he plays. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's go out and talk to Shane, my man in Portland. Shane, appreciate the call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. Fire away.
All right, Chad. So my number one pet peeve in the universe is cheap people. So, this is hard for me, but I think I'm going to say that we need to start leaning into it. So from now on, they're not the Portland Trailblazers. They're the Duckburg Trailblazers, and we're being owned by Scrooge McDuck. And we'll hire Pat McQuack to fly us around, and we'll just lean into the cheap.
Yeah. So, and what's your feel on the situation with the city and the team? Do you think they'll get a deal done? Where are you at on that?
I think that, oh boy, it's a coin flip. I honestly believe it's a coin flip. There's no negotiation you're going to do that you're not willing to push away from the table. And I don't think that Dundon's going to put himself in that spot. So, I mean, he's always got that option where he can pull the cord if he needs to. And if the city doesn't blink, then we might be the luck. It happened to Seattle. And, I don't think that would bother him to be known as the next Clay Bennett.
Interesting. Now, we do know from our conversation with Don Karlowitz a couple of days ago that he really believes the biggest myth that's out there is that this is the Clay Bennett playbook. And what he went into was the situation with the state legislator in Washington where they had agreed to not offer any subsidies, and therefore there was no money that could be offered up to Bennett when he went to them, and that's different here because obviously the state legislator offered up $365 million in a heartbeat, which is a good thing. Now, to go back to Lynn's question about what the Blazers have added, obviously Ja Morant, when they traded Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, they got Ja Morant in return and did not have to attach a pick to the contract of Grant to unload it, which is very nice. They also added Brandon Carlson to a one-year deal. He's a center that they got from Oklahoma City. They re-signed Robert Williams on a multi-year deal, so he'll back up Donovan Clingan. And they added Micah Potter, he was with the Pacers, 6'9", I think he's about 250, career averages of 9.7, 5 rebounds, and an assist per game. And he's a good shooter. But the biggest, issue that I would have, Lynn, in regard to the roster right now is just 5 guards and Denny Avdia, who handles the rock a lot. So we're just trying to figure out the fit. I love the value they got in return for Ja, or the value in getting Ja Morant for unloading Grant's contract and Chris Murray. But you wonder about the fit. Are they going to start him and Dame together? That's one thing we'll cover with Dave Deckard coming up at 4:20. All right, jump on board, 503-248-0620. You got the Rip City Drive. Hey, have you seen the video of that guy that got flipped up in the air, about 9 feet up in the air by that raging buffalo at Yellowstone Park? I love the reporting when the guy got flipped up in the air. It said that the buffalo was raging on testosterone just ahead of mating season. Now, again, there's certain things in life I have not experienced, but I know that I don't want to run into a bull that's raging with testosterone just ahead of mating season. Like, I don't need that in my life, and I'm sure this grandpa didn't need it either. But he's 65 years of age, was flipped 8 feet into the air by the bison at Yellowstone Park, and was sent to the hospital after breaking his femur in multiple spots. This guy's like a straight badass. And what I love about him is that he was most concerned about the buffalo after the attack because he did not want people to think that he was antagonizing it. Well, anyways, I just wanted to play this for you. Here he is after the attack in his hospital bed talking about the experience of running into the testosterone-fueled buffalo.
We saw the bison, and he was down. He wasn't showing aggression or anything like that until it picked a target. That target happened to be me. At the time, I had my grandson with me. It was like, you need to get up to the amphitheater. I will deal with this down here. They move faster than you could ever imagine. He just kept coming, and he was more aggressive. And as soon as he got off that tree, he launched me in the air.
Yes, he did. I saw it. I've watched it over and over again. But what a great grandpa he is. His main concern, like all great grandpas, was making sure his grandson was protected. Hey, you need to get up to the gazebo. I will take care of this. And he tried to fool and juke and maneuver, but the buffalo, I didn't realize that those buffalo who are so big were so agile in their movements. I know they're fast with straight ahead speed, but this thing had movements between the trees. And then finally the grandpa was able to lure him away and got flipped up in the air. Broke the femur in multiple spots. Like, that is Hall of Fame worthy grandpa material right there. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Again, whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. Dave Deckard, BlazersEdge.com, is coming up at 420. And I want to focus more on him on the basketball side because I'm trying to figure out the fit with Ja Morant and Damian Lillard. How does that work? And do you start them together? If so, how do you compensate for the defensive issues? So we'll talk about that with Dave, and we'll get his thoughts on the negotiations that are ongoing right now between the city and the team. But I want to talk to him about the roster. I think the majority of people I've talked to are people that question me about Ja. They're excited about Ja because they like the talent, but like everyone else, they're just trying to figure out how that fits. And I don't even know the answer. I don't know how it fits. I'm trying to imagine him and Dame starting together, but then defensively, I get some hangups in my mind. I don't know how it's going to work. And I don't know how Mike Inori and his staff will try to put a lineup together that's going to be able to get the job done. So maybe it's Jrue Holiday will start. The one thing that's great about Jrue is that he can defend multiple spots on the floor. So my preference would be Dame with Jrue, and then you've got Tamani, Denny, and Klingon, because Jrue Holiday he can make up for a lot of issues defensively. He's so good. But Dame and Ja together, I don't know. So we'll talk to Dave Deckard about that. I also want to get some thoughts on Carlson and Potter, if they can be any type of difference makers for the roster. I think those are some of the unknown quantities. Younger guys, not big names who are coming in, but possibly could be effective for the team. And so we'll talk about that with Dave Deckard. But that's what's going on. I mean, every day right now we're getting new information from both sides, the city and the team, and more reporting coming out about Dundon and some of the changes. And I would just caution you, it is going to get a little crazy before it gets better. And I still believe the same thing I have from the get-go, that all of this is going to drive them to the negotiating table to where they'll get a deal done. And if you go back and read the reports when Dundon officially took over the Hurricanes, it was the same type of thing. He came in with a plan. He wanted to get a deal done. It got very contentious, but they arrived to the negotiating table and got a deal done. And as I mentioned before, there are some grandiose plans for how to, make that area around Moda Center a destination spot. And it would be great because he's really good at development. So I'm still hopeful, but there are a lot of people out there that are very concerned. And when you talk about a team that's been in the community for decades, there's a lot of emotional strings that are attached to that. because the Trailblazers are so vital to our community. Most of us grew up Trailblazer fans, and so the idea of the team moving is, well, it makes us nauseous. And we can't imagine this area without the Trailblazers. And I've told you before, I moved out here and agreed to come out with my parents because they had Clyde Drexler. That's the only thing I knew about the Northwest. I was like, well, they got Clyde. It can't be that bad. I mean, that's how a young sports mind thinks. All right, we'll keep things rolling. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. I appreciate your time and hope you're enjoying your afternoon. We'll also reset the conversation I had with John Canzano yesterday from Bald-Faced Truth Unfiltered here on the Rip City Drive. All right, it's now 4 o'clock. Chad here. What's going on, my friends? Dave Deckard of BlazersEdge.com will join me coming up at 4:20. Joe Freeman of the Oregonian and Jason Quick of The Athletic both reporting that Kevin Calabro will not return to the Trailblazers next season as television voice. He will look elsewhere to call games. The Portland Fire hosts the Dallas Wings tonight at 7. You can watch it on USA Network. Portland is looking to improve to 12-15 on the season. Checking the Major League scoreboard, Reds topped the Mariners 5-3. Seattle now one game back of Texas in the AL West. Nationals shut out the Rockies in Colorado 8-0. Royals 5, Giants 4 in Kansas City. Brewers over the Mets in Milwaukee 4-3. And the Red Sox are on fire right now as they double up the Orioles by a final of 6-3. We got more of the Rip City Drive. What's Chad doing coming at you right now? The drum intro to Easy Lover's awesome. And I was watching an interview online the other night of Phil Collins, and he's the one that produced the album for Philip Bailey, Chinese Wall. And they got to the very end, and they were like, hey, we should do something together. And they're like, okay. And so they started working on something and came up with that masterpiece. That's probably... Well, not probably. It is one of my favorite songs of all time. All right, Rip City Drive. Jump on board. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Dave Deckard, BlazersEdge.com, is coming up in 20 minutes. We'll talk backcourt with him. How do you make it work with Ja and Dame? What are his thoughts on that? I mentioned the Red Sox doubling up the Orioles and being on fire. That win, they have now matched the team record with 15 straight wins. Wow. That is sizzling hot. So if you want to jump on board, whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. Jason Quick and Joe Freeman reporting that Kevin Calabro will not return next season as television play-by-play voice of the Trailblazers. I do not know who they're eyeing to replace Kevin Calabro, but Kevin Calabro is a gem. He is a professional in every sense of the word. He's one of the coolest guys I've ever been around. And the guy that you hear on TV calling games is the same guy off air. Kevin Calabro is awesome. I could call him up right now, ask him questions. He would answer. He's a good family man. And he's one of the best play-by-play broadcasters I have ever heard. And I'm just thankful that we had a period of time with him here in Rip City. And what's great about Kevin, he's so good. Like, people were really ticked off when Paul Allen made the change and moved on from Mike Barrett and Mike Rice, Mike and Mike, and brought Kevin Calabro in. And you know what everyone thought? Oh, he's a Seattle guy. We don't want Kevin Calabro. And my thought was, I never looked at him as a Seattle guy. I just looked at him as a great broadcaster. And one of my favorite tandems ever is KC and Dr. Jack on ESPN Radio when they were doing the national games. The guys are great. I love Dr. Jack. I love Kevin Calabro. But I knew that Calabro would win over the hearts of Rip City because he was so awesome. And I had talked to him for years. He was going to take a job. He had mentioned, I asked him, I said, why are you going to put your name in the hat for the L.A. job? I think the Clippers had an opening a couple of years ago. Ralph Lawyer stepped down or something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And so I asked him about that. And he goes, no. And I was like, well, why not? And he's like, I got to be honest with you, Chad, I've been doing this a long time. And the people that I work with here in Portland, the team that I work with, Lamar Hurd and the rest of the crew, Brooke Olzendam, the people behind the scenes, they're great people. And so he made a choice to stay in Portland because he realized what he had here with the team around him and how important that is to put on a good broadcast. And so that's what he decided to do. But I've learned a lot from him, and he's a radio guy. He loves radio. He listens. He'll give feedback. He's just a good dude. So I wish nothing but the best for Kevin Calabro, and I know he'll be fine no matter where he goes. Now, people have asked me, like if I had a choice, if I was making the hire for the television play-by-play guy, I'd go with Travis Demers. I put Travis on TV. He's got a connection to the locals. I think it'd be a good PR move, and it just makes a lot of sense to me. That's what I would do because of the local connection. And Travis is a very good broadcaster, and he continues to get better and better. That's the decision I would make. No, I'm not going to go Jordan Kent. We've experimented with that before. That was not so good. I would go with Demers. But I don't know where they're leaning on that. I think even my boss was trying to figure that out. I don't think he knows. So I don't know what to tell you about the television play-by-play other than what has been reported by Joe Freeman and Jason Quick. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. If you want to jump on board, you can do so. Yesterday, I was joined by John Canzano, host of Bald-Faced Truth Unfiltered on YouTube. Of course, you can check out the website, johncanzano.com. He has been covering this story feverishly, just like Dwight Janes and Jason Quick and Joe Freeman and Bill Orm and the rest of the crew here in town. But I asked him about the negotiations. Here's what he had to say on that.
Well, you said it. It's a negotiation. So you have to, as a fan or a media member, you have to view everything through that prism because both sides are going to be trying to manipulate the public and manipulate the messaging. And so you got to know that going in. And so I thought the city did a really smart thing because the Blazers were not at the table, whether that's a strategy or it's Tom Dundon's personality. The Blazers were not engaging with the city, and the city was frustrated about it. I did talk with people who were directly involved in the negotiations last week. Prior to, it was Wednesday or so that they told me, hey, we're really frustrated. Tom Dundon and the Blazers are not negotiating. And I thought it was interesting that the city went public with the negotiation. You generally like to have this happen behind the scenes. But I think the city was very strategic in going public and saying, hey, everybody, look how reasonable we're being. Look at how transparent we're being. Hey, Adam Silver, are you paying attention to what we're doing? Hey, other owners in the league, have you seen the terms that we're offering? I think they were trying to gain some measure of transparency and empathy from the room. The Blazers obviously didn't like what they saw, or they're just negotiating. And so the message back comes through the New York Times or The Athletic, hey, this is a non-starter. Now, I did speak today with sources at City Hall. I said, what's the next move? I said, do you go back to the Blazers? Do you sit tight? What do you do? And they said to this point, Tom Dundon and his group have not reached out to the city after getting the terms. They have not responded. They don't have an answer back. I said, will you then, send a different term sheet out? And they said, no. They said, why would we negotiate against ourselves? So I think we're at a little bit of a standstill here. I think there's a lot of gamesmanship going on. I'm worried about the Blazers, and I'm worried because of what they mean to the city, what they mean to the state. This is an ecosystem that, they're the glue. They're in the middle of it. They're the sun here, and all these other things revolve around them. And so I think it's really important that they stay in Portland. I also think that the league knows what they mean to Portland. This is not a city that's got multiple major league sports franchises. I think the other owners know that it's a great NBA city. I think it would be a massive PR hit if the Blazers left. I think it would be a stain on Adam Silver's legacy, the same way that the Sonics leaving Seattle are a stain on David Stern's legacy. And so I think there's a lot working in the favor of fans who want to see the Blazers in Portland. And I think the biggest thing, though, might be Adam Silver and those owners. They've got expansion coming. They want to get to Vegas and Seattle rather than later. If Dundon tries to move the team, it's going to hold things up. I do think we could see a situation, even if Tom Dundon doesn't come to the table in a meaningful way, that the NBA and the owners say, hey, you don't have the votes. You don't have the votes to even think about leaving this market. Get in there and negotiate. Look at the terms that the city has put forth. I'm with you, Chad, in that I'm hopeful that it works out the same way, but I'm scared right now. I'm anxious for fans. I'm anxious for the market because I don't think we've ever seen the team wobble in this way as far as the certainty of staying where they are.
All right, there's Canzano. Fava Flav has reached out and he said, John Canzano is the one running the Dundon is a weasel campaign. He may be, but no one knows yet. Tom took his seats or free entry away. He's got a 50-50 chance of being right. It's a guess. When he's wrong, he will make up a new story. Look, the reason why I'm having Canzano on is the same reason why I had Idan Kralowitz on. I'm trying to provide everyone with I want people to have a full view of everything. Now, you know where I stand. I don't think the team's going to go anywhere. I don't. I think in the end they will get a deal done, but there are people who disagree with me that have more concern. I'm trying to share that perspective. Here is Canzano. I asked him about the term sheet. Like what's the biggest sticking point? Here's what he had to say about that.
It's hard because when you just say it's a non-starter, you throw a blanket over it, no deal. We all have negotiated with our children growing up. You have. I know your kid. He's a great kid. But you've negotiated with that kid when he was 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah.
That's what kids say. No, not doing it. So I think that the biggest things are, Tom Dundon doesn't want to pay rent. The city's got a $3 million a year fee in there that's more like a management fee. It's essentially rent. I kind of think if you're not paying rent, you're not a tenant, you're a squatter. So I think there needs to be some money that changes hands there. I think it's reasonable to expect that the Blazers would pay something to use that building. They're not just going to be there as a civic, bonus for everybody, and Tom Dundon gets to cash the check. So they got to pay something. The city owns the building. It's I'm with Dundon on this point. If I paid for the Blazers, I wouldn't expect that it's my job to come in and invest a bunch of money to improve the arena.
Yeah.
That said, Johhny really didn't do anything to the arena after Paul died in 2018, so she kind of went on cruise control there. She should have probably been investing in the arena. So I get the frustration from people who go, hey, the Blazers should have done something. Well, Dundon bought the team. You're buying it as is. The arena wasn't part of the deal. The arena belonged to the city by that point. So I kind of think it's on the city to make the improvements, but I think it's on Tom Dundon to recognize that if you're going to do business here, part of doing business here is being a good partner. Part of doing business here is recognizing the market. These Blazer fans, it's the greatest asset the franchise has. It's the fan base. You know that.
All right, I got 2 more clips I want you to hear from Canzano, who was on the show yesterday. I asked him about the leverage for Tom Dundon. Here's his response to that.
I think he's got a tremendous amount of leverage because of the way that bridge lease, that short-term lease, was negotiated. I'm frustrated with Jody Allen. She was supposed to be the trustee of the Paul Allen estate, which to me, yes, there's a fiduciary duty there to do what's right by Paul Allen's estate, but she's also his sister. She knows how much he loved the team, how much he loved the franchise, how much he loved the Pacific Northwest. And for her to put the team in a position where it was a short-term lease, you now get owners who might have the idea of moving the franchise, bidding on the team. Glenn Taylor in Minnesota made sure that the Timberwolves stayed with an owner who was going to keep them in Minnesota. You have the family that owned the Milwaukee Bucks. They extended that lease prior to having the sale go down. I am told that City Hall pushed for a provision in that bridge lease that would have extended it by 10 years if there was a sale in this 5-year period. Jody Allen pushed back against it. It didn't end up part of the deal because of that. And I put some of this on her. I think this would have been a very easy fix to sell the team to somebody who was anchored here for a decade, and suddenly you take leverage away from Dundon. I think the leverage that the city has right now, they're wielding all of it. They're going transparent. They're letting other owners see the term sheet. They're looking over at Adam Silver, and you mentioned his comments. I thought it was really interesting when Silver went public. He wasn't shaming the city of Portland with his comments. He kind of was talking more like a mediator, saying, hey, I'm disappointed that more hasn't been done here. And I felt like he played that right down the middle of the fairway for a reason. I think he wants this team in Portland. I think he's signaling to Tom Dundon that, I'm not coming out. I'm not going to just pile onto the city. But I think the city is at a disadvantage here because without a tenant in that building, it's just an empty building. It's like the Edward Jones Dome in Seattle or in St. Louis that doesn't have an NFL team in it.
All right, one more clip. John Canzano, Bald-Faced Truth Unfiltered. I asked him how he thinks the process ultimately is going to play out. And they got the vote coming up in August. Here's what he had to say.
I think the city for now is going to try to do everything they possibly can do to look like they're a good partner doing good business. And I think that's that benefits Blazer fans who would like to see the team stay here. And meanwhile, I think Tom Dundon's got to be making contingency plans, and he has to be posturing or even outright negotiating and thinking about where else could I take this team. I am told he will not go to Seattle. He will not be able to control the arena in Seattle. Not interested in moving the Blazers there potentially. Vegas, the NBA owners aren't going to let that happen. There's too much money there from an expansion fee standpoint. I do know that Dundon kicked the tires on expansion opportunities in Vegas before he bid on the Blazers. And then I think there's a wild card possibility that is hanging out there that nobody's really talking about. The Bethal family that owns the Fire, that owns the Thorns, they were the runner-up bidders. They were at $4 billion for 100% of the Blazers. Dundon's group was at $4.25 billion for 80%. It's less money. The trust still holds 20% of the Blazers. Johhny's still sitting there. If Johhny grows a conscience here and says, my brother's wish would be that the team didn't move, I think it would be very easy to invite the Bethal family back into this conversation and say, look, just buy Tom Dundon out. If it's not going to work, buy him out. You wanted to keep the team here. I'm sure Dundon could make a profit on, the $850 million of his own money that he put into the team. Give him $1 billion. He would take that 15% profit over several months every day. And suddenly you got the bundle that should have happened with the Fire, the Thorns, and the Blazers all under the same umbrella.
There you have it. There's John Canzano. I appreciate him coming on the show to share his thoughts. 503-248-0620. We'll talk to Dave Deckard, BlazersEdge.com, when we come back. And then at 5:20, we're going to talk to my buddy Daniel, his best friend Johhny. 2 weeks from today, Daniel will be giving up a kidney to his best friend to save his life. So we'll talk about that coming up at 5:20. Dave Deckard is next. All right, the man behind BlazersEdge.com, my good friend Dave Deckard, is joining us again here on the Rip City Drive. Be sure to check out the website, BlazersEdge.com. Dave, good afternoon. Thanks for coming back on, buddy.
How's it going, Chad?
Very well. I just wanted to let you know that I will be in your neck of the woods coming up on the weekend of August 8th. My buddy is doing a Spartan race out in Boise, so I'll be out in your neck of the woods.
That's awesome. I will be at the Oregon coast the week right before that, so I'll just arrive back in time to be in town for you.
That's good. Maybe I can find a way to harass you, but I appreciate you coming on. I want to talk a little basketball before I get your thoughts on the ongoing negotiations. The majority of people I talk to, and maybe it's the same for you, I think they like the value that they got in return by unloading Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, getting Ja Morant, but people have a hard time seeing how the fit works with 5 guards, and of course Denny Avdia, who handles the rock as much as a guard. So how do you see this playing out? What would make the most sense with the tools that they have right now? Is it Dame and Ja in the backcourt together? Is it Dame and Drew Holiday? I mean, how do you make sense of that?
Well, I don't think any of it makes sense when you consider that most of those guys don't shoot the three-pointer very well.
True.
So you have a lot of non-shooters, a lot of guys who want the ball, a lot of guys who are known for their scoring. All of them can pass. I'm not saying that. The ball should move, but dang, as soon as those guys aren't scoring, they're not that special. They're not known as defenders. They're not known even as fantastic team players. So I'm not sure what the Blazers exactly are doing. The way I do see it working, perhaps, if it's going to work, is you simply stagger some players, like Dame and Ja are the obvious ones. If they start together, you have huge defensive liabilities. You're undersized. You have Dame shooting the three, obviously, but Ja can't and the rest of the team can't. So at what point do you go, wow, there's so many deficits there that there's no way that they score enough points to make up for it? So you have one of them come off the bench, become a scoring super sub, so to speak, going crazy with the second unit, whereas the first unit is more balanced and probably has a better mix of skills. If they try that, I might be able to see it work a little bit in the right light, but it's still a big ask.
Yeah, it's true. The offense with the lack of three-point shooting is a concern. What about defensively if you had Ja and Dame together? Like, that really doesn't make sense to my mind. What do you think about that?
I mean, can you win some regular season games on a Wednesday night in February? Sure. But as soon as you get in the playoffs and somebody can plan for you, look, teams exploit nowadays lineups that have one bad defender or one immobile player. Even look what they've done to Rudy Gobert, right? Now, that guy is an all-defensive player of the year, huge shot blocker. He is great at defense, but he can't move, right? So what they do is they simply draw him out to the three-point arc, involve him in pick and rolls, and just use him up like a wet napkin. Okay, that's against a good defender when you can plan for him. What happens when you've got two guys who don't defend well, that you're playing every single game? They're absolutely going to fillet them. So, yeah, I think this feels like a move that might garner interest, that might make you go, gee whiz, I got to see this team at least for a little while to see what happens here. But it's a huge chemistry experiment and not much else. And I don't see any way for sustained success with this mix of players out there.
Of what they have, what would make the most sense in your mind for the starting backcourt?
Oh, boy. I mean, you never discount Drew, right? Because he's the veteran. He can play off ball. He can defend. He can shoot the three under the right circumstances. So he makes the most sense in that he fits with the most people. If you don't go with him, then I suppose you look at Scoot Henderson because you want to develop him, and he also has kind of a buffet of skills, and he can defend a little bit, especially if he's allowed to roam, and he can pass the ball as an off guard. So one of those with Dame or Ja would probably work. But what do you do then with Shaedon Sharpe and poor Denny Avdia, as you point out?
Yeah.
He's the guy who's had the ball in his hands the whole time. Can he switch to forward? Sure, of course he can. But then if he's not touching the ball, if he's just off ball, he's not a great three-point shooter either. What in the world is he doing, and what are you doing to his stats and his progress if you're taking the ball out of his hands, especially for, you know, a 36-year-old guard in Dame's situation, or a guard who's trying to rehab his reputation as well as come back from injury in Jaw's case? What exactly are you trying to develop that you're sacrificing your best player for? It's just, I mean... Look, it's like the weather out there right now. The outlook is hazy, but this doesn't smell good, and we got to clear up a few things before we're able to move forward, I think.
We're talking to Dave Deckard, BlazersEdge.com here on the Rip City Drive. Yeah, with Denny, you know, what's interesting about him is that he was at his best. He really made his meteoric rise to all-star with the basketball in his hands. So I just don't see how having him on the floor with the basketball in his hands less would be good for the team, right? And he's their best player.
Well, I do understand how they want to diversify the offense because you saw it in the playoffs that the Spurs rode Denny, right? They made him go left. They kept guys on him, sometimes two, and he produced, but it was hard. It was slower. He was less accurate. He was more fatigued. So you got to diversify that offense a little bit. But one thing Denny's not, he's not like a pick and roll guy, right? He wants to penetrate and dish. John Morant is a huge pick-and-roll guy. Damian Lillard is somewhat as well. Those two offenses, you can blend them a little bit, but when push comes to shove, you're going to be either or. And that Jaw's game is not Denny's game. I don't see how, well, I mean, this is on Coach Norrie to figure out, right? How do you integrate those two players, even just those two, so that there's enough shots, enough touches, and enough good looks for both without absolutely disabling the rest of the team too, because, you know, Toumani Camara will stand in the corner and shoot threes. I think that's not a problem. But what do you do with Donovan Clingan? He's an offensive rebounder. And by the way, both Denny and Jaw are much more special when they can get inside. That's exactly where Donovan Clingan wants to stand. So what do you do with him? You pull him out to the three-point arc? Well, he made some progress as a three-point shooter, but I don't think anybody's comfortable with that being the bulk of his offense. So it's like all these parts, and each of them is something good, but it's like having meatloaf and sprinkles and some kind of salad. They don't fit together.
Yeah, the fit, that's what's going to matter most. With Scoot Henderson, well, let me ask you this about Scoot and Shaedon. Do you think the maneuver for John Morant was an indictment of what the team thinks about Scoot and Shaedon, or do you think that was just an effort to get a distressed asset in John Morant and they were able to unload the contract of Jeremy Grant?
I think it's more the latter. And also, I think, look, I may be talking out of pocket here, but it sure makes people watch a little bit more, at least right now, right?
Yes.
You know, it's like it makes it a more interesting team. So maybe there's some fan massaging going on there as well. And, of course, you're rolling the dice. Look, if this guy comes back to the form he was 4 years ago, sure, okay, wow, that's an amazing deal. So you have that long shot there, too. I think all of those are valid. I think what's going to happen to Scoot and Shaedon is a side effect, not the design effect of that move, okay? However, it doesn't take away that effect. It's going to be harder for both Scoot and Shaedon to find the floor and also to get touches when they're on it. And I guess the positive way of looking at it is, hey, guys, you are now in your third and fourth and, you know, seasons, right, fifth. You absolutely have to produce now. It's time to grow up. The training wheels are off. If you earn the minutes, you're going to get the minutes, and you're not going to be able to slide by with kind of halfway making it. That's the best way to look at it. The tougher way to look at it is, hey, this is your third coach in 3 years. Your development has kind of been stunted. You're going to have completely new systems. We're not really sure that you were settled to begin with, and now we're messing you up again. I don't know exactly what you expect to happen in that situation, but most young players don't prosper when that happens.
That is definitely a great point. You know, with Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, like I still wonder if the team has enough data to know exactly what they have. But what I did like is, you know, I think we saw some improvement down the stretch from Scoot Henderson in terms of, you know, his playmaking ability, his confidence, but also the three-point success rate. We saw some growth in that area. I just wonder if he's gonna get enough minutes, consistent minutes, to be able to continue to build on that.
Playoff series versus the Spurs, right? I mean, he shot lights out, and he was also a really good defender up above the three-point arc, not just in shutting people down, but in intercepting passes and poking away the ball. So I think he has made progress. The referendum there on Scoot and Shaedon is okay. Yes, it does take players time to develop, but you look at a lot of the prominent young players in this league, and a lot of them are in their second or third year. A lot of people do make immediate impact when they have the talent, drive, and skill set to do so. I understand that Scoot and Shaedon were a little undercooked when they came in the league, so it takes a while for that cake to bake. However, you can only run the oven so long before you start to suspect that what you're seeing is what you get. And it is really time for them to step up. But step up into what? Like, there's no role, there's no space. Again, there's no touches. So what you have a bad confluence of events here of players who have not quite made it and the opportunity in front of them closing, which makes you think that maybe, just maybe, the Blazers might be looking to trade them. Or maybe, I mean, it would be shocking, but Scoot is going into restricted free agency if he doesn't extend before the first day of the season this year. So are the Blazers looking for other people to determine his market value and then decide whether to match it? And if it's super low, then they get him on the cheap. Or if he's valued by someone else, are they just trying to let him go? I don't know.
I did get a question. I told someone I would ask you. What's your take on Brandon Carlson and Micah Potter? Do you see them having any type of helpful role with the Blazers this season?
I mean, Micah Potter was interesting in Milwaukee last year, especially. And I think, again, this is a value get. Both of them are value. You cannot fault the Blazers for the price they're paying for things, okay? Yeah. They're really good value shoppers. I will confess, I do this myself. When I'm in the grocery store, if something is 90% off, I am buying that.
Yes.
The problem I have is I got a freezer full of stuff that I don't know how to cook, right? So this is kind of where the Blazers are right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to figure out how to use these guys, not just whether. And what my son always reminds me is, Dad, it's no good buying that if we can't eat it. They're in that boat with a lot of these players. So, yes, I like those gets. Yes, I see a possibility of, especially Potter, but really Carlson too. They could play. But again, how many centers do you have in Carlson's case? How many? You've got Klingon. You've got Robert Williams, right? And you got Young Hansen, who you're trying to develop, sort of, I guess. I don't know. He's even in a worse boat than Scoot and Shaedon are, in that he's even less ready to play. And he's now, what, the fourth-string center? You don't draft a guy with the equivalent of the 11th pick. I know they traded down, but with a lottery pick, and then make him your fourth-string center. Something's wrong with that. Either you messed up with that pick or you're really misusing it. That appears to be where the Blazers are right now.
All right, Dave, I've got one more question for you. Just your overall take on the negotiations between the team and the city. Where are you at? Do you think they'll get a deal done eventually? What do you think?
It's a headache, right? And it's impossible to tell. And part of the reason it's impossible to tell is both sides are going to posture, right?
Yes.
Because if Tom Dundon and the Blazers say, we really want to stay in town no matter what, which is what fans want to hear, then the city goes, okay, we'll tighten the screws and get more concessions.
Yes.
But if the city says, we want you no matter what, then Dundon drags his heels and, digs in, and they get nothing.
Yes.
So both sides are going to play chicken with this thing for as long as they can.
Yep.
Here's the thing that we wrote about it. In negotiations like this, whoever cares the least gets the most. You know this from your dating life. If you really want to date someone and they only semi want to date you, there's going to be a lot of flowers and multiple texts and stuff involved in getting that deal done, and it's all going to come from your end because they don't care. They could leave at the drop of a hat. Tom Dundon is in the driver's seat here with that. He's new to town, just bought the team, made a huge investment, wants to recoup his money, and wants that arena rebuilt on terms favorable to him and I believe is perfectly willing to leave town if he doesn't get it, which means he cares the least, which means the city of Portland is going to be on the hook for the flowers and the candy and the texts. That means they're probably going to have to knuckle under if anybody's going to do it. The question will be, are they willing to do that, or are they going to play hardball? And if they're going to play hardball, there's a good chance that this could get pretty ugly. I don't think the NBA saves this. It's not their job. Other owners want all these concessions to happen for them too. I don't think Adam Silver steps in officially, maybe personally he might, but officially in front of the camera, I don't think there's any rescue there. I don't think anybody's going to come to Blazers fans' relief. You just have to hope that somewhere in the middle of this, all these bickering parties decide that they can find one avenue, even if it's a narrow gate, to get through to get this deal done. Otherwise, it's going to be a headache both now and probably for the next 2 or 3 years.
All right, you can check out his latest piece up at blazersedge.com, exploring the duality of Blazers guard Scoot Henderson. He's the man behind blazersedge.com and a good friend. I appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for coming on to share your thoughts, and you and I will catch up soon.
Yep, good. We'll go have a beer or something.
That sounds good. There you go. Dave Deckard, my friends. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We'll come back, and what did I have? Tony and Boring said I should discuss something last night in a text, and so I'm going to discuss that coming up next. Austen Bergquist of the Blazers will join me at 5. And at 5:20, we're going to reach out to my buddy Daniel in Gresham and his best friend Johhny down in Phoenix. 2 weeks from today, Daniel's going to be giving one of his kidneys to his best friend to save his life, which is great. So we'll talk about that story coming up at 5:20. And, of course, the phone lines are open for you, 503-248-0620. You can jump on board. You got your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. I really like this post from Andy Staples. There was a reporter who was asking Mike Elko, the head coach at Texas A&M, how do you keep your players from being satisfied? His response, quote, I show them our trophy case and it's empty. So good. So good. Also, Gavin Newsom, Joe Rogan is too chicken to have me on. So he and J.D. Vance spent 3 hours in the California Derangement Syndrome safe space. How cute. Hey, come on, Gavin. We know that Joe Rogan's not afraid to have anyone on his show, and I'm sure he would gladly welcome you. And you could spend 3 hours talking with Joe and further expose yourself for being a buffoon. It's pretty simple. All right, I want to share this. Tony and Boring reached out, and he's like, we text all the time about different things. And he was like, you should mention, after Canzano came on yesterday, he goes, you should talk about the impact that Camp Canzano had on your son, Isaac. And it was a tremendous impact. And because of that, I will forever love John and his brother, Ben Canzano. So Camp Canzano is something that the BFT Foundation came up with. He does it every year. It's a week-long sports-themed summer camp that he puts on usually during the month of July. And the focus is on, pairing children with special needs alongside typical or normal kids. And they're trying to build skills, athletic skill, empathy, and community. And what's great about this is that Isaac, what he cares most about in life, it's very simple. My son's autistic. He's now 23 years of age. What he cares about more than anything is connecting with people. He wants to be friends with everybody. And he's not afraid to roll up on a stranger and try to become their friend. It's a curse and a strength of his. Unfortunately, our world, our society is not really built for people like Isaac, people with special needs. They often get shunned because they look different, they sound different, they act different, and it makes people uncomfortable. And I understand that. I mean, Isaac can be a little bit interesting sometimes in a public scene or setting where he's around a bunch of people, but he just wants to be friends with everybody. So he was a little standoffish when it came to participating in Camp Canzano, but once he got involved, it turned out to be great for him in terms of building confidence, making connections with people at the camp, and to see the way that the typical kids really embraced him to where he started to really engage, and he was a part of the camp for a couple of years. It was a big deal. And it made me really happy to see Isaac out there giving an effort, trying to get things done, trying to pay attention, trying to get better at the different games and skills that they were building throughout the course of the camp. And by the end of it, the couple of years where he participated, he became really close with both John and his brother Ben. And so it was great. And more importantly, he was able to make a lot of friends and connect with a lot of people. And so I think it's great that John puts on that event each and every year. Because my guess would be, without meeting all of them, the kids with special needs, they just want to feel like they're part of the community. And I would guess, and I've talked to him about it, but he won't open up about it too much, but I know that Isaac feels like an outsider in all settings because he knows that he's different. And he tries to overcome that by connecting with people, but it's really difficult for him. And so I wish that I could change that. I wish there's something I could do to help him in that department, but I can't. But he does. He feels like an outsider. But at Camp Exceptional, he did not feel like an outsider because everyone did such a great job of taking Isaac and all the other kids with special needs and embracing them and making them feel like they were part of that community and then encouraging them, the encouragement that came from the typical kids and the coaches who were there, throughout the activities that they were doing made all the difference in the world. And so I'm forever grateful to Canzano because those type of things, as a dad, you remember those type of events or moments that make a big difference in your kid's life, especially at a time when he needed that. And so it's really cool. But Camp Exceptional, and if you should check it out if you have younger kids with special needs. Take a look at Camp Exceptional. Ben Canzano puts on camps all the time, John's brother. He is terrific with the kids. He earns their respect. He's able to control the herd of children who are part of the camp, and he connects with them on a level that's very unique. He's really good at it, really good, really skilled at communicating and leading the kids into the different activities. So there you go. Camp Exceptional put on by John Canzano and his foundation. It's awesome. And it made a big difference in Isaac's life. And Isaac, once he knows you, once he meets you, he never forgets you. He's got photographic memory, so he remembers everybody. Everybody who offended him, everyone who made him happy, he remembers all things. And that's one thing that's unique about him. His memory is like an elephant. I can ask him, hey, what room number did we stay in at this hotel back in 2018 when we went to this location? And he'll know the number. Very unique with, the different parts of the brain that he's accessing and the things that he can recall and remember. It's impressive. He was very bitter last night. I had to talk him off the ledge. He and I are going to do a road trip out to Boise in early August because my buddy Luke is going to participate in a Spartan race, and I want to go check it out. And Isaac's going to go with me, and he always loves to stay at the Shiloh Inn in Napa. Or not Napa, but is it Napa? Yeah, Napa. He loves to stay at the Shiloh Inn. So I was going to go book a room at the Shiloh Inn, and they've closed permanently. I think it might be part of the bankruptcy or something. When I told him, he's like, no, that's not true. You're pulling my leg. And I had to prepare him now because if he would have found out last second that Shiloh had closed down and we're staying at a different hotel, he would have gone ballistic. But I gave him a heads up. So he is on the prowl for where he wants to stay in the area. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Austen Bergquist from the Blazers is going to join me next to talk about Pup City. And then we'll do the duo call with Johhny and Daniel. Daniel's going to contribute his kidney to his best friend coming up 2 weeks from today. So we'll get the latest on that story and how Daniel's feeling, how Johnny's feeling. That's coming up at 5:20. A little feel-good story to get away from the contentious battle between the Blazers and the city as they continue to negotiate to come up with a solution for the funding for the renovations needed at Moda Center. You got the Rip City Drive. Chad doing here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, 5 o'clock chat here. Joe Freeman and Jason Quick are reporting that Kevin Calabro will not return as the Trailblazers television play-by-play voice next season. He will look elsewhere to call games. Portland Fire hosts the Dallas Wings tonight at 7. You can watch it on USA Network. Portland looking to improve to 12-15 on the season. Checking that Major League scoreboard for you right now. Dodgers a 3-2 lead on the Phillies. Top of the 5th in Philadelphia. Bottom of the 4th in Cleveland. Twins 7, Guardians 3. Middle of the 4th in New York. The Pirates and Yankees are scoreless. End of the 3rd in Toronto. Rays and Blue Jays tied up at 1. Earlier finals that took place in the first half of that doubleheader. Pirates a 5-3 win over the Yankees. Red Sox have now tied a team record. They've won 15 in a row with a 6-3 victory over the Orioles. And the Mariners now a game back in the West as they fall to the Reds 5-3 at T-Mobile Park. All right, Pup City 2026 presented by Tavo is coming up this Sunday. A 1.3K dog walk around the Rose Quarter campus, going to be led by Blaze the Trail Cat. The Blazer Dancer is going to be on hand, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to bring your dog and have a very good time here in Rip City. And joining me right now to discuss is Austen Bergquist of the Trailblazers. Austen, welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Chad, good to get connect with you here again. We're just a couple days away from Pup City, so yeah, super excited to go over some of the details and chat with you once more.
Yeah, I'm totally pumped. And now, remind me, what dogs do you have?
I have 2 Basset Hound mixes. One is a 3-year-old Basset Pit Bull Terrier mix, and the other is just about 7 months old here now. He's a Basset Hound Lab mix.
That's great. Have you communicated with them about Pup City, and are they excited?
Yeah, the older one that we actually adopted from the event, he was the adoptable dog, One Tail at a Time, our great nonprofit partner that receives a portion of each registration. We got him 2 years ago at the event. I was very clear that he could be jumping on tables like he did last summer. So as long as he's not doing that, we'll be in a good spot. And then the younger one, he's just bush-tailed, bright-eyed to everything that's coming to him. So no warning needed for him. But yeah, they're both looking forward to it for sure.
That's so great. You mentioned One Tail at a Time, the nonprofit, which is going to benefit. Your registration includes a Pup City tote bag, a bandana, all fees, and a $5 donation benefiting One Tail at a Time. They really do terrific work here in the community, Austen. Can you speak to One Tail at a Time for a moment?
Yeah, One Tail at a Time is fantastic. They actually fly a lot of the dogs that are adoptable, that are held with their, their folks that watch them from Texas. So they actually just flew in another load of them today. They have a great pilot that volunteers their time to fly them from Texas, where a lot of strays and a lot of abandoned dogs live, back up to Portland. But they're a fantastic organization. They each summer they are able to work with us and make sure that we're getting some funds sent to them for this event. But they're an awesome organization, just like a lot of other dog rescues that you see. They do have some great adoptable dogs. They also have a great range of dogs, from puppies to older dogs to dogs that just need a home that can provide a lot of care and attention to those that are just starting to get raised. So a great organization. You can go check them out at onetailatatime.com, and they're a great resource, and we're super lucky to have them for a 3rd straight year.
That's awesome. We're talking to Austen Bergquist of the Trailblazers. If you want to get more information on Pup City, go to nba.com/blazers/Pup City. What I like about the walk is it's only 1.3K. So it's short enough to where, like my dog, for instance, is a miniature dachshund. He's got little legs, Austen, so he can't go long distance. And I think this walk that you have set up is nice because regardless of who you are or what type of dog you have, you're going to be able to handle the short walk around the campus, which is awesome.
Yeah, yep. Short walks, just you mentioned. I think I mentioned last time I was on your show, Chad, that I too have some low riders, like you do as well. It's a 1.3 walk. So yes, the first one starts at 10 o'clock. We do have a second kickoff as well at 11. If that first one is quick and you go through it faster, if you do have a bigger dog, unlike us that can get through that pretty quick, you can do it, come back, explore the 30 plus vendors that we'll have. Boop will be there doing portraits for your dog. We'll have an obstacle course. We'll have Portland Animal Massage will be there. We'll have a ton of great vendors that you can explore, and then at 11 o'clock you can do it once more. If your dog, maybe not ours, maybe they'll be a little tired and they'll want to explore and get some more retreats and whatnot from some of our great vendors. But if you're wanting to do it once more, we'll have another kickoff at 11 before the raffle takes place at 11:30. So yeah, great quick walk, but a chance to do it twice.
That's pretty awesome. Now, what time are people going to start showing up to get checked in?
Yeah, registration will open around 9 o'clock. I'm sure we'll have some folks show up a little early just to beat some of the some lines maybe that some vendors will be experiencing. But 9 o'clock is when registration officially opens.
Yeah, I like it. The vendors, too, on hand. They introduced some products I was unaware of that are very helpful for puppy shots, which is really cool. But there's plenty of watering stations, and it's probably going to be a little bit warm as it has been the last couple of days, but a lot of water in different areas to stay cool, which I think is good too.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of watering stations. We'll have some good stations that will be there to calm not only the dogs down, but as well as their humans. We know it's been hot out, and it looks like this weekend it's not going to be as hot as it has been the last 2 days, which is great. But to your point, Portland Pet Food, Pup Patisserie, Portland Animal Massage, I mentioned, just a ton of great vendors that'll be there sharing the products they have, from dog food, dog products, to toys, to boarding services, to some great nonprofits as well. I love coffee, and you're looking to get a breakfast sandwich. Our great coffee partner, Country Coffee, will be there as well on hand. Yeah, a ton of things for you to explore, and if you're looking for something for your dog, I'm sure you'll find it.
Yeah, also, Country Coffee is so good. DJ OG1's going to be on hand bumping some music. There's going to be raffles, obstacle course with games for both the dogs and humans. So is the best place to go to register, just go to nba.com/blazers/Pup City, Austen?
Yes. Yep. Go to nba.com/blazers/Pup City, just like you mentioned. All the details will be there. Everything you need to know about when to show up, what the agenda is, what vendors are going to be there, everything you need to know. You just click register now. It'll take you to the registration page, and then you'll just register you and your family and however many folks you got coming. Again, just like you mentioned, your registration is going to come, of course, with a Pup City branded bandana brought to you by Tavo, along with a tote bag and then a $5 donation to One Tail at a time as well.
And that's awesome. All right, go to nba.com/blazers/Pup City to register right now, and it's going to benefit their nonprofit, One Tail at a Time, which is doing terrific work in the community. It's Austen Bergquist from the Blazers here on the RipCityDrive. Austen, hey, thanks for making time for the show, buddy. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we look forward to Pup City this weekend.
I appreciate it, Chad. Look forward to seeing you there.
All right, sounds good. There you go.
Right,
Austen Bergquist of the Blazers here on the RipCityDrive. Pup City 2026. I told Bubba Shots. I said, Bubba Shots. And he head tilted, and I was like, dude, we're going to go on a walk. And I don't know if he was excited or not, but he will be when I tell him, hey, you want to go for a ride on Sunday morning? And he'll lose his mind. So there you have it. Pup City 2026. 2 different walk times, which is cool. The registration, people start to check in around 9. There's going to be 2 different walks at 10 and 11. And it is a short little walk around the Rose Quarter campus, which is good for the lowriders like Puppy Shots, and for anyone out there that maybe isn't looking to walk several miles. It's a short little walk in the community, and it's going to be a good time. So just head on over to nba.com/blazers/Pup City. Our telephone number here at the RipCityDrive is 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Jason Quick and Joe Freeman and multiple other spots have reported that Kevin Calabro will not return as the television play-by-play voice. Also, I can confirm the reports that the Blazers will continue their radio broadcasts next year. That I do know to be true. So there you have it. Other than that, the negotiations continue between the Blazers and the city of Portland, and I still think a deal is going to get done. in spite of all the madness and the negative vibe that I'm getting here in town from all the people that hit me up, I think the deal is going to get done. The Blazers will remain in town. They'll get a deal done, and we'll get the renovations from Moda Center, and then finally be able to just focus on basketball. I would much rather be discussing how Jaw and Dame and Denny and all those guys are going to fit together than I would be about the contentious battle going on between the team and the city. But again, I would encourage you to check out, just do simple Google searches on Tom Dundon and the Carolina Hurricanes when he took over, and you can read the reporting. I mean, it's very similar here now like it was when he took over there and was looking to get a deal done for the team with the arena and the development. And it got contentious. It got nasty, but they got the deal done. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Now, there are people who are greatly concerned. There are people I've talked to who think Dundon's primary goal is just to move the team to a different city, but I don't see it that way. So there is disagreement, but I do think they're going to get a deal done. I think the NBA wants the Trailblazers here in town. I think they want to have the Northwest pocket covered with Seattle and Portland, and the Sonics eventually returning to Seattle as an expansion team. But as I've warned, you've just got to understand and embrace the fact that it's going to get nasty at times before they arrive at a deal. And we're still, a few weeks off from the vote that's coming up from the council on, I think, August 12th. So there's going to be more crazy things said, and that's okay. Whatever it takes to reach that point of agreement. If it has to get nasty, fine. If there's got to be some finger pointing, I'm fine with that. Just whatever it's going to take to get to that point where they can arrive at a deal. The city's got to fight for what they think is best. Tom Dundon has got to fight for what he thinks is best, and that's okay. And I like what Dave Deckard said, that, it's very similar to the hot girl that you were pursuing that controlled the entire situation. That Tom Dundon is the hot girl right now that's in control, and the city's going to have to buy some flowers and some candy and be in pursuit of Tom Dundon. That's pretty much what I've said from the get-go. The city does need to roll out the red carpet. They need to play more offense and defense, and obviously understand that this is not a better area without the Trailblazers. If you want to encourage growth and development and you want the downtown area to recover, you're going to need the basketball team worth $4.25 billion. They need to be a part of the community. And good luck getting that money from the state if the Blazers leave and you still need to renovate the Moda Center. That's going to be difficult. Better to get it done with a tenant like the Trailblazers. And not only that, but who's going to run the arena if they take off? All right, coming up next, great story. Good friend Daniel in Gresham is going to donate a kidney 2 weeks from today to his best friend who lives in Phoenix. And both those guys, Johhny and Daniel, are going to join me next to talk about it on the Rip City Drive. All right, I'm pretty excited about this. We'll start with this gentleman here. He is one of my best friends. He is from Gresham. His name is Daniel, and he has kept me informed on this story from the very beginning, and he's going to give his kidney to his best friend 2 weeks from today down in Phoenix, and he joins us right now. So we'll welcome Daniel from Gresham onto the show. Daniel, thanks for making time, my brother.
The body doing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. You're 2 weeks out. Are you nervous right now?
Nervous? You know what? Let me be honest with you, because we are on the radio. It's basically all I think about. It's hard to get sleep sometimes. Like, you know, I was in New York the last couple of days, and I was able to take my mind off of it. But, yes, there is a lot of nerves. But, you know, my faith is in God with everything that's going on, and He wouldn't have brought me here if I couldn't handle it. But, yeah, there is a lot of nerves, but I'm just excited to get it over with and, you know, help my buddy out.
All right, so we're going to welcome Johhny in here in just a moment. But how long have you guys been friends? Where did you meet? How did the brotherhood start? Tell me about it.
So I met Johhny back in, we were in 2026. I met him freshman year, so it was the fall of 2003. So it was my freshman year in high school. We met, we started going to the same church, so we grew up in church together, and then we ended up going to high school together. My junior and his senior year, we went to the same school. So I was at the same school. He was at his senior year. So we have a brotherhood that's been going on for a long time. We've been friends for a long time. We've been close family friends for a long time. So it's been quite the blessing.
That's awesome. All right, let's welcome in your brother, Johhny, who is down in Arizona right now, and he will be the recipient of the kidney 2 weeks from today. Johhny, welcome to the show, my friend.
Chad, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, it's great. It's great to have you on. So let's go ahead and start with you so people know your story. Tell me about your health issues and the kidney. When were you aware of the problems, and how long you've been dealing with it?
So I'm 38 years old now, but my mom actually passed away 16 years ago. My mom had pancreatic cancer, and shortly after my mom passed away, I was, you know, just kind of in a funk and really down, and I had just gotten married, and life seemed like it had kind of really slowed down, and I didn't know, you know, I just thought maybe I was still mourning or depressed, and I just ended up not shaking that feeling, and after about a year, I finally had a doctor tell me that my kidney function was really low. And I found out my kidney function was at 40%. I had something called IgA nephropathy, and that was news to me. I didn't know that, and I don't even know how long it went on for. I could have had, you know, decreased kidney function for a long time, but the effects had been known then when the function was about 40%. So the last 12 years, I've just done whatever I could to try to slow down the progression. But when you get to about 15% function, your kidneys are essentially failed, and they put you on, you know, try to get you on dialysis and prep you for a transplant, as those are the only course of action from there. But thank God, my first two donors struck out. Danny came in, same time, clutch, you know, perfect match, and now here we are 2 weeks away from the big day.
That's pretty awesome.
I was able to get there without ever having to go on dialysis.
That's great. Now, Daniel, how did it come to be when you decided to get tested? Tell me about the conversation when you thought, well, let me see if I am a match, and if so, I'll help you out. How did that come to be?
So it was back in March. So I went to Cancun, and then I had a little Phoenix trip planned because I haven't been to Phoenix since, you know, I left after my divorce. So I didn't really want to go back because it was like kind of salty to go back there. But Johhny was always, he wasn't saying much about it. And I kept asking him, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And he ended up telling me that the first two donors failed. And I think it was that Sunday where we hung out, John. I don't know if you remember that, but we went to dinner and stuff like that. But after that, like, I just had this feeling like, man, you know how much I hate the doctors and everything, and what I've done in my life as far as the substances I've put in my body, the things I've done, not great. So I was scared to offer it, but like there was just this voice in my head that kept saying, let's offer it. And you know how what my mom went through, so I've experienced it in my personal life being as a child. So like I just had this overwhelming feeling, and I believe I called him a week later and I offered it to him. I'm like, hey, let's just see how my health is. Let's see if I can even match, and I'm willing to do it for you. And we went from there.
That's pretty awesome. We're talking with Daniel and Johhny. They're going to be a part of a kidney transplant coming up 2 weeks from today. Now, Johhny, how big is your family, wife, and how many kids do you have?
So I have 3 kids. My oldest is 12. I have boys 9 and 12 years old, and a little girl that's 6.
That's great. So what does it mean for you that your buddy Daniel was willing to step up? And then when you found out he was a match, I would imagine that was a major blessing and pretty amazing. But tell me what it's like to have your best friend willing to step up for you like this.
It's so humbling. It's a feeling I can't even describe. You know, it's just not a natural feeling, because usually you can repay things, you know, but there's just nothing I can do to pay this back besides, you know, honor him and live my life to the fullest, and, you know, make sure my kids understand how amazing this is, and let them see what a good friendship and bond looks like. And it's just very humbling. But my first donor was actually my older brother, and he found out that he only had 1 kidney by going through this process. He had no clue. So, you know, it's just you know, and Danny was very close to him too, you know, so it was just strange to see that. And I mean, just to see how everything ended up turning out. You don't know what twists and turns life has to offer, but you know, these friendships that you cultivate over a lifetime, you know, this is it's just undescribable, really.
Yeah, so if I'm hearing you correctly, without a transplant, your life would be cut short, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, so I from here on out, I'm probably a month away from having to be on dialysis, which means I'd have to hook up to a machine every night for 5 hours, you know, to clean my blood, and even that creates complications, and even that's only sustainable for so long.
That's great.
5 years maybe.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. We're talking to Johhny and Daniel. They'll be a part of a transplant coming up in 2 weeks. So, Daniel, where exactly is the transplant going to take place?
So it's going to take place at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona. It's right next to Scottsdale. It's from what I understand, John told me this too, it's one of the best transplant centers around, and they do it all the time. And like I told you, Chad, when I went and got tested, the doctor, she was just making it seem like it was no big deal. And she's like, oh, this is easy. You'll be all right. Like, you should be able to make a full recovery, blah, blah, blah. But it kind of reminded me of what you said about your child when he was telling you about the brain surgery that Isaac had that one time. And it's just crazy how these doctors work. Yeah.
Because the brain surgeon that worked on Isaac, he's like, oh, it's not a big deal. I do several of these a day. I'm like, oh, really? It just blows my mind that they can do that. But how nervous were you? Because you had told me about some of your substance abuse in the past, but were you afraid that was going to prevent you from being an eligible candidate for Johhny?
Yeah, well, so you already know, excuse me, you know my situation as far as like not being able to have kids, and like, I don't like going to the doctors. So I don't really go to the doctors that often. I don't like to get checked out. I just rather not know. It's like a weird anxiety phobia I have.
You're not the only guy like that. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that operate that way.
So when I found out, I think it was that Friday it was the end of May when I went over there, and I remember being in the doctor office, and after I got my scans, the surgeon was like, hey, let me tell you about your kidneys and your heart and your liver. And I'm like, hey, I'd rather not know, because you can just tell Johhny. I'd rather not know. And she looked at me, she goes, are you sure? Because they're really good. And I go, you can tell me. Let me know. So she told me that my kidney function was at 127, and my heart was good, my liver's good. So, you know, all the bad things I've done in this life, like there was always, I don't know if it was my mom's prayers or if it's people praying for me, but the Lord always did watch out for me. And, you know, I'm healthy enough to donate a kidney to my best friend and my brother. So it's an absolute blessing. And I, like Johhny said earlier, like there's no words for it. Like gives me chills when I think about it sometimes.
You know, Johhny, it's pretty amazing. I don't want to sound weird, but like what's going to be really cool, like, is that a part of your best friend is going to be inside of you forever, and that piece of him is giving you a second lease on life. Like there's something about that I can't put the words on, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And even as you know, Danny was raised in a Christian home, and I was as well. And it's actually very, you know, it's a big reminder of even our faith, you know, and receiving something that we didn't pay for, and getting to benefit off of somebody else's sacrifice, you know. And so we're kind of primed, you know, I'm primed for that already. But to see it lived out among people is beautiful, you know, and it's for my kids to have a front row seat to experience that. And obviously, you know, Danny's touched by it because his mom received a kidney from her dad, you know, so Danny from a young age saw the benefit of that as well. And now that's a blessing to me and my kids. So to see that all go full circle and be a part of that is so humbling.
I mean, Johhny, what's it been like for your family, your wife and your kids, to know that Daddy's going to be okay?
It makes everything a lot lighter. You know, we really get to go through this experience with joy and peace, and it's not stressful. It's been, you know, just a lot of gratitude and just a lot of appreciation for the little things. You know, so it's a lot of people don't have that network or you know, community where somebody could step in, and it's just very humbling, you know. But I'm fortunate my kids are old enough to get to experience it and get, you know, learn the lessons and the value of this while it's fresh.
Yeah, that's terrific. Now, are you a Blazers fan, or have you converted to a Suns fan? Because I know you took Daniel to the playing game.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually a lifelong Laker fan. So I was in Portland that game. I watched it live. I was in the Rose Garden when Kobe drained those two the game tying and the game winning 3-pointers.
Yep.
A lot of good Kobe memories. And I grew up in Sacramento, so I was a Laker fan when the Kings were good, when Peja was playing and Jason Williams, and they had those battles with the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. And so it's been a long road, but I'm excited to see this next chapter for the Lakers.
Well, I think this is awesome. Daniel, I'm really proud of you because I know you're facing your fears to be able to step up and serve your best friend, Johhny. And Johhny, I'm so happy to hear that you get a second lease on life and we'll be able to have a lot of great time with your wife and your kids. I think this is awesome. Tremendous.
I really appreciate it. The only other thing that's hanging over our head is there's 2 weeks where Danny has to make sure he doesn't contract anything. So I'm going to ask very, very kindly that he doesn't talk to any girls from Gresham, so he doesn't pick anything up.
That's right. I was going to ask you that if, like, were the doctors concerned about where he comes from, being from Gresham, if that might... I don't want you to get something that's tainted, you know, that's concerning.
Well, he threw him off. He told them he was from Wood Village, and it went over their heads. So.
That's so great.
It's Troutdale.
All right, Daniel, what else is going on with you? I know you got blocked by Danny Meringue on social media. Anything else you need to let us know about?
Hey, can I do one thing, though?
You want to tell us a joke?
No, I can't. I do want to tell a joke.
Okay.
Can I tell a joke?
You're giving your kidney to your best friend. You can tell whatever blonde joke you want.
Hey, Chad, why do blondes never suffer from headaches?
Forgive me. Why?
Simple answer, no brain, no pain.
All right.
All right, Chad.
Hey, Johhny, I wish you the best, my friend, and I can't wait to hear after the procedure. I'll be praying for you, and I hope everything goes well, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There you go. All right, big thanks to my guys, Daniel and Johhny. No brain, no pain. Oh, my goodness. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. What a great story. That's pretty awesome. And Daniel's one of those guys, he just doesn't want to be around the doctor, doesn't want to be there, doesn't want to be a part of it. I know a lot of guys like that. I honestly don't even know the last time my dad went to the doctor. Well, that's cool. Really cool, because how many people wait for a transplant but can't find a match, can't find a donor, and Daniel was able to step up and offer his kidney to his friend and turned out to be a match. It's pretty sweet. Really cool. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can jump on board. I'd love to hear your voice. Whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. All right, my brother donated a kidney, but it didn't take. And he was willing to give that to a young boy who was in need. Turned out to be a match, but it didn't take. Let's go out to Lake Oswego. Michael wants to chime in. Michael, appreciate the call. What's on your mind?
Well, there's a couple things on my mind. The one thing is I'm actually working on a doctoral project about why men live fewer years than women, and it's because we don't go to the doctor.
Yeah,
we're idiots.
Idiots.
We don't.
Yes.
We're morons. We don't go to the dentist. We don't go to the doctor. Ridiculous percentages of guys that don't take care of themselves and don't do what we're supposed to do. I'm among them. I'm calling about. Do you want to talk about what happened today with all these people getting laid off?
Well, I can definitely talk about it. The layoffs, weren't like new. It was reported as new, but a lot of these took place with the original wave. So I was aware of what was going on, but I saw the report last night from Maury Brown. But yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, come on, man. Kevin Calabro, Travis Demers, come on.
Well, Travis, now, just so you know, Travis he's not going anywhere.
And take a big cut, though, right?
Well, I don't know the details specifically. I just know that he will be a part of the radio broadcast next year. So that much I can confirm.
All right. I'll take that. I'm sad about Calabro, though, man. I love Calabro.
Yeah, with Calabro, I'm like you. I know him personally, but I knew him first as a broadcaster. He's just simply one of the very best broadcasters the NBA's ever seen. The guy's awesome. He is a Hall of Fame broadcaster, and he's a Hall of Fame individual. And so anytime you lose a Kevin Calabro, that's not a good thing. But I like I mentioned earlier in the show, like he came up to me, Michael, at the end of the year. I think it was the last home game, and I was down in Blazer Broadcasting getting ready to work, and he came by and he was handing out Blazer gear to people, right? And that to me was kind of, and he gave me a Blazer pullover, and that was kind of the sign to me that he knew that was going to be his last home game. So I think he's kind of seen the writing on the wall. Calabro's in a unique position to where he doesn't have to, he can negotiate because he's got power, right? And so he knew that if things didn't work out here, he's going to be able to move on and work elsewhere. So, yeah, I love Calabro.
Well, I'm bummed, but I listening to you yesterday talking to Canzano, man. I'm concerned. Because Canzano's concerned.
Yeah. Well, what I've tried to do is, I had Edon Krolowitz in a couple of days ago. He sees things more the way I do, that, I think the team's going to get a deal done and won't leave. Canzano's a little more concerned, but I'm trying to provide everyone with a viewpoint on this from all sides so that we can get the best information moving forward. But I still feel the same way I did when this all began, that I don't think the team's going anywhere. I think they will get a deal done, but I think that the rhetoric, Michael, is going to get a lot more, it's going to get nastier before it gets better, before they come to the negotiating table.
Well, I don't know who signed your paycheck, but I hope all is well with you. You're the best, man.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'm as good as you can be in the media business. I say that now. I could get my dome lopped off tomorrow for whatever reason. But, there's no guarantees in life for any of us, right? And how long have I been doing this now? So full-time for 18 years? Yeah. So, there's always a concern. In this business, there's always rumors and innuendo floating around. But, what can you do? I can only control what I can control. I can't worry about everything else. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Big thanks to Michael for calling in. Thank you to Johhny and Daniel for sharing their story, which is pretty awesome. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. fully on board and in love with Sophie Cunningham. All right, Portland Fire playing at home tonight. 7 o'clock tip against Dallas. You can see it on USA Network. Hops baseball coming up just a little bit after the Rip City Drive tonight as they take on Vancouver. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Oh, let's go out to Ridgefield and talk with Chris, who's out there. What's up, Chris? What's going on?
Hi, my guy. It's been a minute.
I know. Hey,
how are you?
I'm well. How are you? And how is the new house that I've not seen yet?
I know, dude. What's going on? It's amazing, and I got another boxer, so I got another puppy for you to wrestle with.
Oh,
now I got 2. Yeah,
you got 2. You got a full house then.
Got a full house. So we'll have to discuss this offline. But I'm going to talk to all you men out there who don't go to the doctor because today we had a stitch. So my brother, who's 57, very young, very fit, cyclist, weightlifter, eats good, vegetarian, never did drugs, doesn't smoke, never goes to the doctor. Had a hernia, so he went in because it was like bothering him, and so his wife drug him to the doctor, and they did a CT scan to learn that he had a heart defect that no one ever knew about. He was born with only 2 aortic valves, and which would have led to a massive heart attack. And so today he got a bovine valve placed in his heart. Moo was the first thing he said when he woke up. He mooed at us. But had he not had that hernia, he might have had a heart attack and died at a very young age, which does run in our family. There's a lot of heart conditions. So I know doctors suck and it's not that much fun, but it's better than being dead. So I urge you all, go at least once a year. Check it out. Find a cute doctor, maybe a blonde. I swear she has a brain. And take care of yourself because it's the only body you have.
Hey, Chris, you have some experience with men. Why do you think we're so dumb?
I don't know. I think, personally, I think it's a lack of control, right? It's a lack of control over your body. Maybe there's a ticking time bomb, and you know that I went through cancer myself, and I could go in the hospital and be like, oh, that guy saw me naked. Oh, that guy saw me naked. Because you just get desensitized to it because you are kind of like a experiment, right? But it's really better than the alternative. And if you've got a family, you've got, friends and kids, and it's like you owe it to them to take care of yourself. Trust me, it sucks, and that lack of control over your body and maybe defying you by not doing what it's supposed to do is pretty scary, but you got to do it. But you're right. I don't know many men that go to the doctor regularly like us. No. And I don't know if it's because women, because we have babies, and so then we have to go for a year, and you get your, top launched and all that, but yeah, it should just be like you're going to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned, go get your body checked out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling in. I love you, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
You too.
And I'm glad you're well, and I can't wait to see the new pup. That excites me.
Yeah, you got to come while he's still a puppy. We miss you.
Okay. Good to see you. Good
All
to
right,
talk to you.
soon.
And I'm glad your
All
brother's
right.
okay.
Bye-bye.
That's awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. Good prayers out to him. He's still not out of the woods yet.
Okay. There you go. There's Chris. She's a sweetheart. Let's go out to Lee in Portland. Lee, you're up on the Rip City Drive. I appreciate the call. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chad, how you doing today?
I'm very well. Nice to hear you, man. I'm good.
Good. I have a couple of questions. Who owns the motor center?
The city of Portland.
Okay, and then Tom Dundon, is he a renter or what is he?
He would be considered a tenant in the city's building. So essentially, yes, a renter of sorts.
So normally in the housing department, the owner supposed to take care of the building and the tenant is just a tenant. I don't understand that. I'm not taking sides or anything like that.
No, I agree. And that's why I think the city has got to do the right thing and step up and provide the funding. Now, if Tom Dundon owned the building, I would look at the situation differently. But to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. At some point, the city's got to come to their senses and realize that we probably don't want to let a $4.25 billion corporation leave the town, right?
Absolutely. The other thing, your son Isaac.
Yes.
It looks like he have a kind of a high taste, because I remember he was trying to buy a Forerunner.
Yes.
And brother, the Forerunner is the most expensive car because they keep the prices more than any other unit.
That's right. And
I am in the business 27 years, so I understand he needs at least 15,000 or 12,000 at least to get something decent, not the best, but something.
Yes, and Lee, let me tell you, he went and looked at the Forerunner. He was going to buy this past weekend. He went to go look at the Forerunner he had been eyeing. The air conditioner was not functioning on the Forerunner. He did not like the value on the car at that point, so he is moving on and continuing his search for the Forerunner. So he's very detail-oriented in his Forerunner search.
I do understand, but it's just so difficult. He chose a car that everybody likes, everybody wants, and that's why they keep their prices so high, and you have to come up with a good amount of money to get something reliable.
That's right. Well, Lee, I appreciate the call, and thank you for bringing common sense to the discussion, my friend.
Thank you so much.
All right, Lee is a good man.
day.
I love Lee. Lee's a good dude. Yeah, Isaac is... He was a little bit bent that the Forerunner's air conditioning was not functioning. He's like, what's up with that? So he will continue his search. Big thanks. Hey, I appreciate all of your phone calls today. As always, they were terrific, and they added to the conversation. Big thanks to Austen Bergquist of the Trailblazers, Dave Deckard of BlazersEdge.com. Also to Daniel and Johhny for sharing their story with the kidney transplant coming up in 2 weeks. And to my man, Brendan Slaughter, for engineering the program. You guys have a good night. We'll be back tomorrow with the Rip City Drive at 3 on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Have a good night. Thank you, Brendan, for everything. Appreciate you.
All right, Chad, you're clear, my brother.
All right, thank you for everything.